in the jails in this country. And they're in all over the country, from north to south, east to west. The jails in this country are not good. The food is bad. You can't rest. The bunks are hard and small, too short, too narrow, too hard. The food is bad. The prisoners are ignorant, uneducated, violent. Many of them are sociopathic or psychopathic. So it's a hard experience. I won't say jail is easy. Jail is hard. And if you're going to commit some kind of civil disobedience, which in a way is really spiritual obedience, how can anyone remain silent, docile, obedient, and compliant in the face of this massive, rampant criminality that's running our military, our government agencies, so many of the churches, and on and on? The corruption is just epidemic. How is it possible to remain silent, docile, compliant, and obedient in the face of all of that? I reached a point where it's not. I can't. So I call it spiritual obedience. I don't think of it as being disobedience in any way. I think it's only obedience to sanity, sane obedience, let's put it that way.
Martin Luther King would have loved you.
Well, and I liked a lot of the things that he had to say. In fact, I've read 2 or 3 of his books and others of his writings, his speeches, and so forth, and of course some of the material of Mahatma Gandhi. But, Dr. King and Mahatma Gandhi very much were acting in the spirit of the White Rose. And I have reason to believe both of them were aware of the White Rose, Dr. King in particular. They may not have mentioned much about it, but it was very similar, operated in the same kind of ethic. And of course, I issued a Minot manifesto, which I can send you after the interview in an email. You post it if you like on your website after you read it. And I also issued a statement called A Serious Message from the Heart of America. On 1 week before my trial in federal court, I issued that to the news media in Minot and also to some others. So that's also floating around. I'll send you that as well. You can post that if you like too. But there are many things that people can do and will do and must do if we are going to have a human and humane future on this planet. We're at a time now where it's not a time for shrinking violence. If you have something to say, now is the time to say it, right now in 2010 and 2011, not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now, not even 2 years from now. If you have some courage, if you have some moral courage, now is the time to stand up and be recognized. We need you. The planet needs you. The human race needs you. If you were born for a purpose and you're here now in a sound body and sound mind, now is the time.
What's next for you, Richard?
Well, I'll continue researching and writing, of course. I'm going on a vision quest in November down to South America. Assuming I can leave the country, I may now go down to the airport and see if they let me on the airplane.
Why see if they let you on the airplane?
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's a no-fly list. I hope that I'm not on it. You know what I'm saying?
I think there's a way to find out if you're on that, right?
No, I don't think so. I think you find out when you try to get on the airplane. I've always been able to fly in the past. I've never not been permitted to board an airplane. And in fact, all I'm doing is going on a vacation, so I certainly hope that I'll be permitted to fly. But that's my intent. And then after that, I'll continue writing and speaking and researching. I've been doing it now for the past 15, 16, 17 years, and so I expect to continue that. I love to travel. I certainly plan to do more traveling. I'd like to visit, of course, South America next month, but I'd love to go to India one day. I've never been, so perhaps in the next year or two I'll go to India.
Boy, the India that I saw 26 years ago is a different India today. It'd be very interesting for you to go. It's still going to be a mind blower. It's a shock when you get there.
The whole world is in a period of frantic transition. And this year and next year are going to be some of the most frantic years. I'd say the last 2 months of this year and 2011 and 2012 would just be phenomenal in terms of the change and the world global turmoil, which I think could approach an extreme stage most any week or month. in 10 different ways simultaneously.
I would imagine that one of the ways to prosper and to stay grounded during these global transition times of great upheaval and change and depreciation of currencies and maybe a complete changeover of what we call monetary value is really to stay as poised as you possibly can.
Yes, and you have to be flexible. You have to be like the willow that bends in the wind, because there are going to be some gale-force winds blowing. And sometimes people ask me, well, what should I do? Where should I go? And that's an unanswerable question for me. It can only be answered by each individual, depending on his or her individual circumstances. And you have to look deeply within yourself for that answer. And it may even be over the next 5 years, you may be 5 different places or more, doing 5 or more different things in 5 or more different contexts, or not. Because the pace of change is going to be so turbulent and fantastic. Now, you mentioned currency. Even from reading the headlines in the newspapers and watching the news on television, it's clear that the American dollar is in tremendous trouble. It's weakening rapidly. It may be that paper currencies would even fail.
I think that was the declaration of the IMF, is to actually get rid of currencies and to create a kind of international one world currency of some kind. And I think that all of these things have been declared. The scary thing is that I think it's approaching.
Yes, well, that's one of the plans of the powers that be, to economically enslave the entire human race, or at least 99.9% of it. And one of the ways they'll do it is by a kind of totalitarian globalization. I would welcome a harmonious global uprising, if you will, as opposed to a violent uprising. A lot of people, I think, want to have a revolutionary uprising, an armed uprising. I, on the other hand, would much prefer, as Swami Bhayandananda has said, to have a global consciousness uprising. And once you uprise, you see the way to go is nonviolent, peaceful, non-cooperation with these very dark, violent global powers that be who want to impose a totalitarian kind of government, a totalitarian economic order, economic slave, global slave order, if you will. And the only way we get away from that is to wise up, not to rise up. So we got to put on our best Bugs Bunny accent or Elmer Fudd accent and say, hey, everybody, wise up.
I like that.
The Ethic of the White Rose of Dr. King and Mahatma Gandhi. And Dr. King did meet with considerable degree of success. We don't have racial segregation by law in the South anymore, anywhere else in this country. So that was a huge achievement. An entire body of law was wiped off the books because thousands of people, primarily black, but not only, violated the law consciously, conspicuously, right to the face of the police. The policeman was right there with handcuffs, saying, if you violate this law, I'm going to handcuff you and take you to jail. And they essentially said, hey, you know what, Mr. Policeman, make my day, because I am not violating your law, because your law is wrong and you're wrong and I'm right. So make my day. And thousands and thousands and thousands of black people did that all across the South over and over again until finally the law just vanished through sheer noncompliance with an insane body of law. Now, I'm wondering when white people are going to get that same kind of courage. To this point, white people are some of the most passive, docile, compliant, propagandized, brainwashed people I've met in my life. There's no outrage they won't put up with. So when is it going to be that white people say to themselves, middle-class white people, all of this stuff is abusive, it's wrong, these laws that are being passed to hurt us and to pen us up, to take away our freedoms, our civil rights, our human rights, our civil liberties, our constitutional rights, it's wrong, and we're not going to take it anymore. So, Mr. Policeman, just take your little handcuffs here and do what you will, because I'm not obeying, because you're wrong, this law is wrong, and I'm just not going